in the struggle are missing opportunity. And so that's point one was, we've got to find the opportunity in the struggle. Okay? Point one was to find opportunity in the struggle. The opportunity was that there was land that was vacant. And so he says, because I know the plans, you looking at today, but I know that there's going to be a tomorrow, a greater tomorrow that's coming than what you see today. He says, so I'm telling you that you need to go and get that vacant land and build the house. Okay? He says, dwell in them, live in them. He says, now, I'm going to teach you the next principle is, I want you to understand that you've got to learn to sow in tough times. This was our second point, that we've got to learn how to sow in whatever the season is. There is a sowing opportunity that we've got to take advantage of. So he says, I want you to plant gardens and eat of them. Then God says, after you have built and after you have sown in this struggle, he says, I want you to understand that I had you build the house so you have somewhere to sleep. I had you plant the garden so you have something to eat. He said, and I did those two things so you'd have a place to secure the family that I'm going to give you. Because he says, in verse 6, he says, to build a family is what he says in verse 6. To summarize it, he says, work on your family in this hard time. So he told us to build, he told us to sow, and he also tells us in the third point, he says, work on your family. He says, work on your family. He said, I know it's hard. He says, I know that you all are in turmoil in your minds right now. He said, I know that it's a tough time to be in this exile. I know that it pains you that you cannot pray in Jerusalem. I know that it's hard that the temple is gone. He says, I know that it's difficult that the vineyards that your fathers planted are all gone. But God says to them, he says, I am trying to teach you how to hit the reset button. And if you do what I tell you to do, you'll have a place to live, you'll have something to eat, and you'll have a family to share it with. God says, in tough times, don't neglect family. He said, because it's hard, don't neglect your family. Because it's tough, don't turn on your family. Because it's difficult, don't turn on the family. Because even though you have built a house and even though you have planted a garden, if there are no Jews to eat from it from generations down the road, then we still lose. If we don't reproduce, we still lose. And so God says, I want you to continue to work on your building, yes, your house. Yes, fine, just make sure you plant, that you're sowing in your season, wherever your season is. But he says, I also want you to understand that we have to reproduce of our own kind. He said, take ye wives and have children. He says, I want you to reproduce in this tough place. He says, you got to still understand that there has to be another Jackson. There has to be another Johnson. There has to be another Williams. There has to be another. And at the end of the day, when we put it in today's perspective, into today's context, there has to be another saint. There has to be another preacher. There has to be another missionary. There has to be another elder. There has to be another musician. There has to be another bishop. There has to be another worker in the church. And he says, so even though it might seem like it's hard, even though it might seem difficult, even though it might seem not work-worthy, you got to continue to reproduce, because by reproducing, this is the only way that the plan is going to be carried out. Somebody say, he has not canceled the plan.